I got a little something I want to talk about today. Something happened to the car that you guys don't know about yet. So of course we put a supercharger on the Retro Fox and everything went real good. It all went smooth up until a certain point. We got the car out, we started testing it, started driving it, started tuning, everything was looking good. Me and Andrew go out with the car to make a couple passes, do some data logs, and notice the car just wasn't running right. We noticed that we thought we heard the valves rattle, but see, there's another issue with the car that made us think that maybe it's not the valves rattling. My belt on my car is actually really close to itself, right? The way this thing routes, your belt will basically rub on itself. And if you guys don't know, a lot of these belts in high RPM start to get chatter. The accessories and everything, the tensioner will kind of chatter a little bit. So we were thinking, okay, that's probably the tensioner up there chattering. We went ahead, we made a pull. Now, with me not being that familiar with the binary editor software, I did not know where my timing was. I didn't know which number it was. So there you go, there's you a tip. Learn your software, know what everything is before you take off and go data logging, because once it's too late, it's too late. So we get into the car, we're making some pulls, like we hit it probably 2 or 3 times and go through the gears, and all of a sudden the car starts to misfire. We're like, what the hell, you know, maybe we just got a plug or a wire or something like that. So we get the car home, we send the data log off to Matt. After we get home, I check everything and I'm like, man, the car seems kind of hot temperature wise, so let's go ahead and check the water. Pop the cap and this thing is not bone dry, but it's very low. So at that point we kind of had a feeling. So sure enough, we go ahead and fill this thing up with water. I go to start the car up, the funnel sitting up here full of water. I go to start the car up and it sprays water out of the radiator. There you go. So we knew we had a head gasket. We start pulling spark plugs. Driver side was good, passenger side was bad. All right, we go ahead, we snatch this thing apart that night and we fix it. We put a head gasket on it, we seal everything back up, put this thing back on the road, she's good to go. That's not the point, okay? The head gasket thing, you guys can give me shit if you want to about it, I understand, but that is what it is. We need to know why this thing blew a head gasket. Well, the next morning, I got my answer. So I wake up to a phone call and it's Matt over at Leach Motorsports, and he was like, hey man, you still got head gaskets on that car? I was like, what? I don't remember telling him about that. I was like, how does he know that? I said, actually, yeah, we just changed the head gasket. And he was like, yeah, no car is gonna withstand that. I was like, what are you talking about, man? So to cut to the chase, he was looking through the log last night, the one that I sent him during the pulls, and he was like, dude, your timing was at like 32 degrees last night, and we were on like 10 pounds of boost. I said, well, why did the timing go up on the car? He said, you're not gonna believe this. I've only ever seen it one time before. He said, your TPS went above 5 volts. I was like, okay. He said, well, when it goes above 5 volts, the TPS, or the computer, freaks out, for lack of a better term. It basically defaulted back to a part of the tune where it had a lot of timing. And there you go, a lot of timing under boost is not good. So let me back up real quick though, and let's talk about why this happened. So now we understand if your TPS shoots up above 5 volts, the computer doesn't know what to do with it, so it kind of reverts back to another part of the tune as like a safe mode, I guess you will. Safe for an NA car maybe, but not for a boosted car. But why does this happen? So the tolerances on all of your aftermarket stuff is just not going to be the same as factory. That goes without saying. I think most of us understand that. This car has an aftermarket throttle body on it, and it has obviously an aftermarket TPS. Those two things together, combined together, when you set this thing on the ragged edge close to 1 volt, and then you sweep the throttle, instead of going to like 4.6 or something like that, 4.6 volts, where it usually goes to, the maximum, this thing could go up to 5 volts or past. That's what happened with my car. There was just enough slop, just enough something in there to cause this thing to go over 5 volts, and that's what the problem was with my car. So I wanted to share this. I didn't video anything about the head gasket deal. Guys, I was done. We just knocked it out, we got it done, no big deal. It's a head gasket. Luckily we didn't mess anything else up. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna show you guys how to test your TPS to make sure that you're not going above 5 volts. If you're ever driving around, so let me give you guys a scenario that you may run into, you may encounter. So let's say you set your timing on your car. I don't care whether you're NA or whether you're boosted or whatever the case may be. You set your timing, you know it's right, and you go down the road and you floor it and you hear the valves rattle. There's a good sign. Either that or your balancer has slipped and you have an inaccurate reading down there. You can get one of these voltmeters from Harbor Freight for like $4 or $5. But I'm gonna show you guys how to do this now. So your green and black wire are gonna be the ones that you use. Sometimes you can go through these terminals right here. Sometimes you can't, it really just depends. But you kind of push it through here like that and then get your black wire in there like that. I've got my wires hooked up. Like I said, red goes to green, black goes to black. Anywhere you can get a connection from this wire. I don't recommend you stab the wires, but if you have to, you have to. All right, so this is our resting voltage right here. If you guys can't see it, it is 0.65. All right, so let's sweep the throttle, and we want to make sure that we do not go over 5 volts or honestly get anywhere close to it. So about 4.9, you need to go ahead and change your TPS. All right, so this is wide open throttle right here. It's 4.58 volts. And as you can see, as I change the throttle position, the numbers change. All right, there you go. That's what you need to check. If you're getting up there around 4.9, 5 volts, you definitely need to lower your TPS. Now remember what we've learned. Your TPS does not need to be set at 0.99 anything. It does not have to be there. I recommend you setting your TPS somewhere around 0.6, 0.7. That gives you room for error. Guys, we are learning new stuff with these cars every single day. I know there's been a lot of TPS talk lately on the channel, but it's for a reason. This could save your engine right here. And I'll go ahead and show you guys what happened. So right there, as you can see, is what happened with the head gasket. So it is what it is. All that timing definitely didn't do this car any justice. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead, drive this thing up to the store real quick. I don't know, just because I want to. I do want to cover real quick with you guys about the tuning on the car. I'm not going to cover as much of the tuning process as I thought I was, because honestly, I've not done anything with the car. Matt's done all the tuning, 100% of it, and he's been just emailing me the files back. We will do an overview about it, and we'll talk about it here pretty soon, but just know that there's not going to be a how-to coming up on this. We'll let Matt handle that over on his channel. So if you guys don't know, obviously go check out Leach Motorsports. He's awesome. And just for the record, so everybody knows, this was not Matt's fault over at Leach Motorsports. It just happened. This was the first log. I actually went out before he was ready for me to go out. Typically, when you go out for your first log, you're in the throttle, out of the throttle. He checks everything, you're good to go. This was like our first pull, if you will, first real pull, and I just stayed in it too long. I got too antsy. If I would have stopped, made a couple quick test passes, come right back, sent the log, and waited, everything would have been good because he would have caught that. But doing it the way I did it, I honestly screwed myself. TPS out, make sure that everything is within range. We want to save the head gaskets, so go ahead and check that out. But as you can see, the Retro Fox is running great, no issues here. But hey, you know what? Shit happens, guys. Things are gonna happen. Don't get discouraged if they do. Go out there, turn some wrenches. It's just nuts and bolts. Remember that. Anybody can do it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, and as always, thanks for watching.
The verb, lovers in curves, so fuck what you heard. Rolling with the fatness, you don't even know what the half is. Oh, you've got to pay to play. Short it, bang bang, just to look your way. Now I like the way you work.